All right. Hello, hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Well, it is the most anticipated time of the year, not like all the holidays, but cuffing season. And we are going to get into it. And I have my amazing podcaster friend in the whole wide world, Pastor Jay, and we're going to get into cuffing season. And we're talking about one of the most I just love series that he ever talks about in the episode, Blood in the Water. Hey, Pastor Jay.
Hey T, hey everybody, what's going on? I'm excited to get year 6 started with this cuffing season, kicking it off with
Yes.
Blood in the Water.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so we've done this for 6 years and it gets better and better every year. Um, and again, this is the first of many series that we're going to do, but like Blood in the Water, kicking it off. And ladies, please, this is we're gonna give you time. Go get your soda, your drink, your coffee, your tea, your milk. Call your girlfriends, call your guy friends, and listen. And please, after it's over, I mean, you can comment to the comments and comment, but we can have real adult talk. So no children in the room. And we're going to talk about this cuffing season. So, T, can you give us a definition of cuffing season?
Well, cuffing season, in a short synopsis, is a time when single people in the height of the holiday seasons find themselves linking up together because the seasons are colder, time is longer, and they want to find someone to be with. So that is, in general, what cuffing season is.
And the normal boundaries for cuffing season is October 31st to February the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the borders have been broken like the American borders. So they may extend even further into the year. But for our sake and for our discussion, we're talking about this period of time. And it could apply to any period in time. And with the topic today of blood in the water. And again, ladies, I think you need to listen to this because I'm going to tell you some things that maybe men don't tell you, but you should know this so you can protect yourself. The reason why we started talking about cuffing season is to give you information from our experiences and things that we read that this is a very dangerous time. And not only is it a time for that single people, but you find a lot of married people step out during this time, okay, to start extramarital affairs. So let's just dive into Blood in the Water. That was one of my titles because, ladies, these men are in rutting season, just like it's deer season now, they're in rutting season. And they know that for the most part, some of you ladies, not all of you ladies, but enough of you ladies love to have company or be booed up or have someone to snuggle up to during the cold winter months. And because of that, you may tend to let down your standards, your guards, do things that you might not normally do. And you give off a scent. You give off a smell, an aroma, a sweet aroma, but it attracts the shark like blood in the water. They could smell it a mile away. And these sharks don't mean you well. These are not the guys that's going to spend their life with you. And see, you may be giving off, I want to be with somebody, but I want to establish a relationship for a long period of time. They're just in it to so-called win it. And you are the bait. You are the prey. And they're preying on you. And they're preying on the fact that they believe this is the easiest season to move in on you. So you have to be aware that even if you're not getting off the scent, if you're a lady out here, single or not, this is predator time. And they're going to be preying on you. And they're going to be saying everything that they can to get you into compromising positions to fulfill their need for sex. Okay. It's just about sex. It's not about real relationships. It's not about establishing a friendship. It's about satisfying the need to have sex. And you become, again, like I said, you become the bait. You become the one that they're looking for. And if you're not careful, you can end up cuffed to something that you can't get rid of. You can have children out of wedlock, or have children uh, uh, and be married and do something like that. You can end up with diseases. You can end up financially ruined. You can end up being blackmailed during this time. I know some ladies who during this season, is interesting that during this season, I can actually track over the years that they've always tried to get someone during this season. And it's almost as if they don't even realize it until you bring it to them, like, you were cool up until after Halloween, but after Halloween, it's like you turned the sex appeal up. You turned the seeking up,
Mm-hmm.
and the sharks come a running.
Yep.
Yeah, the sharks come a running. They come running because they smell blood in the water. And it could be detrimental to you. It could be dangerous because you don't know if that person that you're cuffing to for the season may end up being a stalker. You're thinking that you really have somebody, but you really have somebody that's going to end up stalking you and possibly causing you a lot of harm. So, T, what you say?
Well, like you said, during the holiday season, even if you're not, like you said, projecting that desperation, you're not doing that just because it is the time frame of it. People will just assume the men and women during this time, they don't even know why. It's just something that naturally it's happening. Naturally, it's changing. And people don't even realize, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like I need to be with someone? It's just a natural thing. And people don't realize that biology thing, that's really changing with the season. And sometimes for me, it was hard to understand, why are people calling me when I haven't talked to them in gazillion months, years, and all of a sudden, hey, what's going on? Like, what? What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, the you don't necessarily have to be, but the fact that this is the season of the sharks, and we're talking particularly men in particular, they just look at this as a time where maybe a couple of months ago you might not have responded, but now if you don't have anybody, they're saying I'm available. And they come a smelling. They come trying to listen to you. They're trying to say whatever they can say. And a lot of times during the blood and water season, you find out a lot of men end up in church with these Christian women. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what ends up happening is these men know that these women love God. They know that they are blood bought, and they will say and do anything to project as if they're on the same page with this woman, that they're evenly yoked with this woman. But all they're doing is pursuing her body and her mind and maybe her money. Okay. So what ends up happening is they show up for church, they're around, they say all the right words. And what I get from the women is, since they now have somebody, I just ask them one question: do they believe in God? And the next thing they said is, yeah, oh yeah, they believe in God. Then I asked them, do they believe in your God, Jesus Christ, your Savior? And then what I get is, oh, they're spiritual. And see, that lets me know you've let your guard down for the sake of being with somebody, for the sake of having somebody to be around you, possibly during the holidays, because you think you hooking them during the holidays, and you end up being hooked to the rest of your life for someone that you're not evenly yoked with in any form or fashion, just so you can have a social presence with this person, and a lot of times sexual presence with this person during this period of time. And again, the borders have been broken, so sometimes this carry on longer than expected for both parties. Okay, which actually, if it's not true, if it's not real, it ends up hurting a lot of people. And the ladies don't understand, how did this happen to me? Well, it happened to you, maybe. One reason in particular, we call blood in the water, that's what we're talking about, is that you're giving off that you want to be with somebody at all costs. That this is the time you don't want to walk into another party by yourself, or your cousin or friend. You want to have someone that you can put your arm in arm, and you walk in looking good, smelling good, and this is your boo. But again, your boo is a shark. Your boo is there for one purpose only: to take advantage of you in a way. And yet, in today's time, with women or boss women, they got it going on. That doesn't eliminate that you can't be taken advantage of. Matter of fact, what I found out, women that are very independent, got it going on, very busy, highly successful, they're the ones who smell the most blood in the water because they believe they become immune to the shark because of their status in society. And yet, and still, I've seen it time after time after time after time that these high boss women, women with degrees, women with good jobs, single, they're the easiest prey for these dudes because all they require, because they don't need them for anything else, just be my man, just be my guy, just be nice to me. And that word just means that, what does that mean? That means that you're settling. You're not having any other requirements for this man, and he's more than willing to be just. The problem is when you want to take him from just to being the man, but he didn't sign up for that. And you didn't require that he signed up for that. And maybe he lied to you and said that he would just to get close to you, just to get next to you, just to take advantage of your wealth, your health, and your labor. But you have to realize you play a part of this. You're a victim to some point. But if you settle for just, then you're part of I would say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, you're part of the problem. You're part of the equation because you decided to settle for someone because you want to be with somebody. So T, as a woman, have other women that and maybe even yourself went through this phase and didn't really know that you were doing it?
I think I have. I think I've done it without really knowing what it was for a very long time, especially when I was younger. I had no idea that cuffing season was a thing. So me knowing now, yeah, I was in a lot of relationships. So I was like, okay, I just want to be booed up, the holidays. I want to be with someone. And I know other women too that are with people because they just don't want to be by themselves going to business functions, corporate. I don't want to be the only one sitting there single while everybody's got somebody. I have no one. So yes, I do know people and I know myself that I've done that as well, not even knowing that this was a whole big deal. And I found myself in a lot of different relationships that didn't end out very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the quicker or the sooner that you become illuminated by and know yourself, know thyself to be true to thyself, then you can be aware that this goes on. Now, there are a certain group of women and men that don't mind playing this game. She doesn't mind being in the blood in the water. She has an understanding. She believes she has an understanding of the risk, and she's willing to take it for the appearance, the social appearance, and the sexual gratification. Okay, and she's willing to take that roll that dice. Okay, there are some men that will oblige her rolling that dice. And if they team up, then fair exchange is not a robbery, but it's the after effect when this falls apart that brings chaos to either one of their lives, where it's just a different situation. It becomes, you start getting police involved and family members involved, and your job and things of that nature become part of the equation. And you didn't have this before, and you're trying to figure out. They told I didn't think they were like this, and I didn't think they would do that, and because feelings are involved, and again, it just becomes chaotic, and other people have to get involved, which becomes dangerous for them, depending on the level of sanity that person has, because that person that came into the door as a shark wants to leave on their terms, but you may be getting rid of them on your terms, and they might not accept that. Their ego might not let them leave on, hey, we had a good time. It's the holidays. I'm done. Or no, I figured out that you ain't the guy for me. His ego might not let that happen. Now, if it was reversed and he said that, he'd rather for you to be crying and you to be upset and him leave than for you to do it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have to be careful during this season and try to avoid, and I would say at this point stage, both male and females being blood in the water. There are some guys out here that are they're just as thirsty as the female. You know, they are willing to settle just to have someone with them. You know, they are willing to settle for someone just cute, some good looking, all of that. Not necessarily have any morals or values, just so I don't walk in to be around my guys and everybody else has a girl but me. You know, I think our society is getting to the point where we really don't like being by ourselves because we really don't know ourselves to like ourselves, to love ourselves, that we can be comfortable being alone for a while. It's always some kind of tragedy of relationship that brings us to the point where we have to be alone. But I'm thinking if you learn to be alone before that tragedy happened, before you get with somebody that you cool with yourself, you love yourself, you confident in yourself, and you could be around other people without having a tag along, I think you're more than ready to be with somebody because when the breakup comes, you're not all bent out of shape and you still keeping your eye on the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Pastor Jay
I'm
lost
sorry,
you.
somebody was calling me.
Okay.
Hold on, let me.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, um, so that's what you have. You know, you can actually um keep your wits about yourself, guard yourself. You know, make sure your things are intact. You know that you don't. If you're going to take the risk during this time to step out like that, and be pursued and get caught and get or and take the chance of getting caught up and cuffed up, you realize there is a danger that this relationship or this attachment, this appendage, may be there longer than you want them to be. Now, if you guys end up going off into Shangri-La, getting married and all that stuff, and that becomes, because there's a possibility of that, that's great. But in the world that I deal in, broken hearts, broken bank accounts, aggression, and all other kind of things. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I think that I think as long as we've been doing these series, that they have been something that I've taken to heart from my own self. Like at the time when you asked me earlier, well, have you ever gone through that? And I have, but now, like you said, if you've learned the lessons, you hold on to those lessons. You're not easily bamboozled and hoodwinked, and someone can come in and just say something to me real slick. It sounds good and it sounds nice, and then all of a sudden, oh, you sound so great. I wanted to be booed up with you. No, I'm listening to what he's saying to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to what you're saying, like the conversation with the fake alpha man. I'm listening to what you're saying. And if you're saying something off the cuff that sounds way out of line, I already know what time it is. You think I don't know, but I know what you're on. I'm not going to lead you with that, but I hear what you're saying. And you don't understand. You're saying a lot more than you think. And I know where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Because what ends up happening, maybe because of your appearance and what he believes you're lonely. And
Mm-hmm.
again, laying blood in the water doesn't mean that you're projecting it. He has a stereotype in his mind
Mm-hmm.
of a type of woman, a fluffy woman,
Mm-hmm.
that of course she's desperate and
Yeah.
I am the guy that she has to settle for
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so, we call him fake alpha man because I'm so great. So what
Right.
he does is he approaches you and he tests the water by being as straightforward and vulgar in the first phone conversation.
First phone conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah. See that, and what I'm
Absolutely.
saying is he believes you're blood in the water.
Right. And that what you were saying is it's not me giving that up, but he's working from a stereotype. He's working from his perception, and that I should be grateful enough to be speaking with him. Can we go into a little bit of his conversation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little bit. So when Pastor Jay talks about blood in the water, I like this because when I get to experience it, I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this situation, but it is good for us to actually meet, go on a real live date. And it's not like I'm trying to do this stuff, but some of these people, they're actually like that. So the fake alpha man who I actually went on a date with, the first conversation we were talking decently. Then all of a sudden he says, "Hey, what do you think about copulation?" First of all, for me, that's out of pocket, that's out of bounds because in his, like Pastor Jay was just saying, his perception may be like, if I'm fluffy and I'm ignorant. So I might not know what the word copulation means. And like Pastor Jay said earlier, this is not a conversation for little people, so don't have them anywhere around that. But of course, I know that means about intercourse. I know that. So they said, let's take it up a notch. How about coitus? Same thing. And so when you're talking to someone, you don't know them from a hole in the wall. You're trying to get to know them. And that's the first thing. That was a red flag to me. Now I did make it known I didn't appreciate that. But of course, Pastor Jay let me know you probably didn't say it hard enough because like, do you think you should be talking about that first conversation? We don't know each other like that. But that's what he wanted. He didn't want a friendship. He didn't want anything platonic. He just wanted to get in and do what he wanted to do. And after that, do you know, I have not seen that man because he only wanted the sex. Forget trying to get to know her. I'm not on that. And I knew at that time, Pastor Jay let me know what time is. I was like, it's cuffing season. And that's what it evolved to.
And see, this is the thing because they're sharks, and like you see the sharks on TV, there is no decorum about them during this time. They smell blood in the water and they go for it. Because just
Right.
like a shark, there's a chance that it may be the right prey, and then there's a chance that it may not be the right prey, right? So you got to take a bite because that's what sharks do. They don't just come in and devour. A lot of times, what you see is they do a test bite to make sure that it's what they want to eat. Okay, so they come in and do a test bite, and they say, oh, "Okay, this is what I want. I'm gonna go and come in for the kill." If you would have responded in any kind, and it's interesting the way he did that because he wanted to show his intellectual superiority by using the $7 $10 words, meaning the same thing. I want to have
Right.
sex with you, even though I don't know you, and you should be thankful and grateful that I'm willing to have sex with you because you're a fluffy girl. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nobody else jocking for you. You see, I'm
Right.
here. I'm ready to take you out. I'm ready to set up a date with you, and I'm going to try to show you my superiority by manipulating you, even in the date itself. Tell about him being late and his
Yeah.
excuse for being late.
Yeah, so the date I got there early, and so we were supposed to meet at 1 o'clock. He gave me the time, so like okay, I get there early because I didn't know, and I go find us a table. We'll get there around maybe 12:44 or something like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. He doesn't show up till about 1:15. And then when he sees me, he comes to sit down. And so he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "Hey, so where have you been?" He's like, "Oh, well, you're right. I should be punctual." I was like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, well, I had traffic and the dogs, they wouldn't let me leave." I was like, "Was it the dogs? Was it the traffic?" He's like, "I'm just saying that's what happened." I was like, "Your dogs force you to get caught up in traffic." And we live in a very rural community. We have some construction some places, but I wasn't really sure if that was true because we had a light for a while that had construction. But then when I saw this light, the construction was gone. So I was like, are you lying? Like, it's so weird. And he didn't care that he was late. I was like, okay. And then he's trying to do all this forcing of the server to do all kinds of stuff. I was like, just give her time to get around to you.
Okay, I just want to jump in right quick. The first thing I noticed is that he was late and he gave an excuse of why he was late. Now, think about this, ladies. He made the date. He could have called her and said he was going to be late. But see, what he's testing is how much is she willing to take of my bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She didn't
Right.
go for the coitus, but okay, that was the all right. I deal with that. That was the I struck out there, but I'm going to see how much of crap is she willing to take once she see me. So I can now she sees me. If she's willing to swallow this late thing, I'll work my way back around to coitus.
Mm-hmm.
I work my way back around to that because she's going to feel lucky to have me once she sees me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why um that's why you have to look at it in the sense of he was testing the waters then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he was pushing the envelope at every juncture. And because we had that 4-hour conversation, that might have opened the door. Like, well, if she's going to stay on the phone with me for this long, then I just go and just tell her whatever. And then
Absolutely.
and I
Absolutely. I
and
get on you about it. Like
he's like,
4-hour
what?
conversation. He had no choice. In a way, I'm gonna say I can't blame him.
Because
Four
I opened the
hours.
door. Yeah.
Yeah, he's thinking if she done sat on the phone 4 hours with me, she desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she desperate. She's giving off blood signals,
Yeah.
and if she's that desperate, then I go in for the kill. I can, in that conversation, because that's the conversation to which you brought that up, right?
Yes, it is. The only one.
And I don't know at what hour he brought that up, but at that point, that should have been the end of the conversation.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm saying is it can happen so subtly. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of and these are one of the things. If a man can occupy your time like that during this time that you spend hours on the phone with him, he's gonna think, oh yeah, I got her.
Mm-hmm.
I got her. We ain't 16, you know. We grown folk. You ain't supposed to have 4 hours to talk to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So I got her. So he shows up, he gives you the excuse, right?
Yep.
And then you find out and let you know that his mind was on something else. Tell us about the ordering of the food.
So he ordered his food. But first, okay, he got something to drink. So he wanted water with lemon. So the lady brings him his water. She's going to the bar because that's where the lemons are. And he's like, "Excuse me." He's about to call her back. Where's the lemon? And she's going to get it. So she bring it back. So then he's ready to order. So he orders the PB&J sliders. Anybody who knows what a slider is knows that sliders are small sandwiches. Don't matter if it's a chicken slider, burgers, it doesn't matter. He ordered PB&J sliders. I saw what he ordered. And so did the lady. So they take his order away or his menu away. So his order comes back. The PB&J sliders come back. So he looks at it. He's like, "I didn't order this." And she's looking at me. I'm looking at her. And I said to him, "But yes, you did." He's like, "No, I didn't order that." I was like, I literally, and I had to, and she's still looking at me in amazement, like, "What?" And I said, "I watched you order the PB&J sliders. What did you think sliders were? They're small sandwiches." He's like, "I thought they were bigger." I was like, "All sliders are small." He's like, "Oh, is this an education time?" I'm just telling you, all sliders across everywhere are always small. This is
Right.
not something new. So he tried to pull that, like he's like, "Oh, I'll just deal with it." I was like, "No, you're not going to make it feel like you're gonna gaslight her and gaslight me when I physically watched you do it. If you wanted the bigger sandwich, this bigger sandwich was on the page, but you said PB sliders, that's what you got."
Yeah. And see, not, but he didn't eat, did he? Remember? He didn't eat his food, did he?
No, he didn't eat. So, and that's another thing, because I was sitting there eating my sandwich, but the entire time I feel like I was being interrogated and grilled for all the kinds of things. What kind of man do you like? So what about this? Do you want a traditional man? Because I don't need that. I want to know what you're bringing to the table. All that kind of jazz. I'm like, what is this? Like,
On the
what are
first
you
date.
asking?
Now, the first date,
Exactly.
y'all. I want y'all to get this. This is the first date. And he's
Yeah.
grilling her because he believes of his mental superiority.
Mm-hmm.
And he's figured that she's lucky to have him. And see, this is an overinflated narcissistic ego. And I want to say this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, T, but I want to say this.
Okay.
If you mess around and end up getting with somebody who's a narcissist during this time, oh, buddy, watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Because just as nice as they may seem to be, they're triple time as mean as they could be. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, they're even worse.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, after while I'm sitting there and he's giving me all these questions, one of the things that was kind of disturbing to me was this entire time he was professing so much love and devout for respect for Malcolm X, all of that. And what he was saying, it didn't match what he was doing and what he'd done in his life. So first he was an officer in the military. That was question mark. And he was started at the Lobster Butter Bar. For those of you who don't know, second lieutenant. I was like, okay. Didn't move up anywhere else. And then he was married to, and I don't care who you marry, but when you are claiming something from some particular narrative or a mindset or a paradigm or something that somebody does, you can't say that and doing something that's the antithesis to how they would normally believe. So he was married to a Caucasian woman who's German, blue hair, no, blue eyes, blonde hair, had the hair wrong. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, I totally cannot stand the white man. I was like, what? That zero makes sense. Zero makes
Right,
sense. What?
right.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Mr. J.
No, but I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah,
How you gonna be Malcolm X and like you said, we're judging him by what he said. Malcolm X
exactly.
would never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever be married to a Caucasian woman. And
Period.
then he says he hates white men. Well, I'm sure being in the military, he was around a lot of them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But what we figured out is he really despises African American women.
Mm-hmm.
And all he wanted to do was use you
Mm-hmm.
for sex.
Right.
That's all he wanted. He was
And
not going to he was going to use you. You were going to be the woman that he called when he can't get with his Caucasian woman.
and how sad is that?
Yeah.
Pretty low and pathetic that's all you can see me as I'm only good for sex. There's nothing else I could be worthy of from you. And on top of that, you're just using me until the next, like you said, the next one comes that's what you want. And I felt for me when I'm listening to him, his hatred about Black women is because none of them were checking for him. And maybe that's why he was upset. I don't know how that went down, but he even mentioned, don't you think I'd like to be with one of my Black sisters because they're beautiful? I was like, okay, that sounds like a you problem. I don't know why the rest of them didn't get with you, but I have no idea. But as you're dealing with me, I can see why. Like,
Right. You
what?
can see why
Yeah,
they may have
put
been
you to the side.
repelled
Yeah.
by your narcissism.
Exactly. Your way that you talk to them, like they're stupid idiots in a condescending tone, like they all have no brains. Even if you say, I like boss women. No, you do not like boss independent Black women because you would want to boss them around, let them know they're really not the boss. Don't care how much they got it going on. You have to show them they don't have that because you have a superiority complex. You just do.
Hmm. And again, he's just looking for somebody who he's not looking for a friend or partner. He's looking for someone that he can dominate for a little while, re,
Exactly.
um, put himself back into the culture through the fact that I have a Black woman
Mm-hmm.
and still do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I say, first phone call, first date, and y'all talking coitus, what kind of man you want, this, that, and the other. I mean, this is, and I don't know if society has come to the point where we're just that crude and we don't know how to communicate any other way than to talk about sex. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're devolving in the art of communication between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we think small talk is irrelevant, or is there anything else we could talk about but aggressive sexual madness? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's the last book you read? What's the last movie you saw? You know, did you go to a jazz concert recently? What was it like?
Mm-hmm.
Name some people that you've run into in your life. Name some
Right.
experiences that you had. I mean, have we become that narrow in our communication with each other as men and women that we just look at each other as tools or
Mm-hmm.
sexual objects to take advantage of and just dump? And then that's how we get all these babies that are not wanted,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we end up using birth control abortion as a means of birth control,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, you know, this time around, I just really thinking the nuances of this stuff. It's like the blood in the water. It's like it's a certain scent, but it's more pervasive now than ever because, and I guess one reason is because of COVID, right?
Yeah, I believe that.
Since COVID,
Yeah.
you know, there's some people that would have been a drop of blood in the water that's
Mm-hmm.
basically poured a whole gallon of themselves in because they got to get
Yeah.
back to that time that they lost.
Right. I believe that's a part of it. I really do believe that we already had that. People were already had a very debased kind of way of being, but because of that, I think it heightened everything even more. Even though we've come out of it, people do not, because of all of that being distant, still don't know how to communicate properly. You can't even find someone who knows how. You're asking people to have just a regular conversation, and they don't know what to say to you. Have no idea how to strike up a conversation and just keep it going with just regular words. Don't talk about anything crazy. Just have a conversation with me about your day. Just normal everyday things. And the conversation, you know what? It falls flat. It doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, the only thing I could do is talk about the fact that I want to have sex,
Right.
and that's
And you go
crazy.
back to
That's
that like,
just
okay.
yeah, and you've already said no in a nice way. And I mean, and again, you know, talk about blood in the water. We have to talk about how to avoid blood in the water, and this will be a theme throughout our time talking about cuffing season of different subject matters. Is that if you want to be blood in the water, if you don't want to be blood in the water and see the actual shark or the wolf or however you metaphor you want to use to uh, describe them, the biggest word, the best word is not a $10 word. It's not even a $20 word. It's not even a $5 word. It's a $1 word. And if you want to see the reality of who they are, tell them what, T?
Tell them no.
Tell them no.
That's right.
Just just say no. And I'm saying don't even be cute about it. Don't
Yeah.
say a no in a way that it can seem like a no, but really it's a no,
Like a
yes,
maybe to a
a
yes. No.
maybe, yeah. Say
No.
no.
No. Right.
And if
Straight
you
up.
say no enough times,
Mm-hmm.
because okay, normally you say no to that person who's a narcissist, and it depends, they'll come out their bag right away.
Absolutely.
They'll come out their bag, and you've experienced that. They'll come out their bag right away. And then there's some that you say no to that they're a little bit more patient. They're a better hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But your job is to continue to say no because you want to see who they really are,
Right.
not the representative, but
Exactly. You
who
want to
they
see the
really
real
are.
them. Yes.
Yeah, you want them to come out of the dolphin uniform and show that they're a shark.
Right. Show they teeth.
You want them to come out of sheep's uniform and show that they're a wolf.
Right.
Because since they're predators, predators have to have the urge to eat and hunt. And when they can't catch what they're after, like if you ever watch in the jungle where something may run up a tree and they'll try and they'll leap, but eventually they'll be like, you know what, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move on. You know, I'll move on because I've wasted too much energy, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah. It's a
But
no
that's
for
your
me.
best weapon.
Yeah.
No.
It is. Yeah.
Men and women, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a man, I wouldn't want a woman to be talking to me about how good she in the bed on necessarily on any conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're adults. At some point, you got to realize you're an adult. If that's going to happen, that's going to happen, right?
Right.
You don't
Exactly.
need to go into all of that. Again, we
Mm-hmm.
should be able to have conversations about other things other than that. Each
Exactly.
other's sexual prowessness,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Because think about prowessness is like predator. You know, a predator has power. You know, so you gonna sit there and talk about that all the time, okay? But you have to realize, you have to ask yourself, am I during this time or any other time during the year? Because again, the borders have been crossed. Am I portraying myself to be blood in the water? Am I
Mm-hmm.
portraying myself to be needy? Am I portraying myself to be one who looks like I got it together, but there's something about the way I move that tells somebody else that I'm an easy target? Okay. Maybe I'm too confident when I talk or too over verbose when I talk. Maybe, okay, even with him, he's ripe for the picking
Mm-hmm.
because he's too over the top in himself, and he can get taken advantage of by the right woman. He can get taken advantage of
Right. Because he's him.
because he's him. He's the man. He had a T-shirt on said, "I am him."
I'm like, no, you're not.
And again, the right woman could take advantage of him
Mm-hmm.
because she knows as long as she makes him feel like he's him,
Mm-hmm.
she could probably run or whatever he got.
And she could be her.
And about the time that he wakes up,
Too
him
late.
ain't got nothing.
Right. Him been
Him has
bamboozled.
nothing.
Right.
You know,
Him been
because
gotten
he was
over.
blood in the water.
Right.
He was desperate,
Yeah.
you know. So the way to prevent yourself from being blood in the water is first self-examination. I need to
Mm-hmm.
write this down. First, examine yourself and be true to yourself on what you really want. What you really want. If you want a fling, understand that that's what that is. This is a fling. But don't confuse the two, a fling with a relationship. And if you guys are talking about sex right off the top and you fall into that conversation and you go for that, then you get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
You get what you get.
Yeah.
If you don't stop it to respect yourself on a first conversation or a first date, that those topics are off limits, and that person don't have nothing else to say to you but how's your food doing, you probably don't want to be with that person no way, because they showed that that's their purpose for being there, is to conversate you, to tantalize you, and trick you into going to bed with them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from whatever that spawns, it could be dangerous, it could be costly, because they have no intention of being around you um, for any period of time to get to know you.
Right.
You know, to have that bonding relationship. They want the bond to be sex, you know, or the control of sex, being controlled by sex. They're hoping that you want it so bad, ladies, that you willing to settle, you know, and eventually you get tired of that because you don't want to end up, I'm just giving you a preview, you don't want to end up with a hub son.
Hmm.
So that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, you have to say no. You have to say no. You have to mean no. You have to show that you know. And as bad as you may consider that you haven't been out in a while and you want to go on a date, even if it's a bad date, say no. Gain some self-control. Say no. Don't put yourself in a situation that you may not can get out of, especially if you got children.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you got children. Okay? Your blood in the water. If you're going to be that, don't bring these men to your kids' sanctuary. Your kids do not need to see that dude.
Or hear
That
it.
Yeah, that dude is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so don't bring them around. If you're gonna do dirt, do the dirt away. But I'm trying to tell you, avoid from doing dirt, because you don't know how dirty it's gonna get. You go from dirt to mud, from mud to clay, from clay to concrete, meaning that person in your life forever.
Mm.
And you have And I know
Lost
P
your cat.
real.
There you go.
And I know some ladies sitting out there, I would never. And you'll be the person that the shark will come in on because you believe that you conquered this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a thing that's prevalent in our society.
Yeah.
Feel good. Morality's out the window. Feel good. As long as it feels good and you can get away with it, do it. What do we got going on that's worldwide known? The P. Diddy thing is about feeling good. As long as you can get away with it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody up in arms about they can't believe this is happening. Everybody that was there knew this kind of stuff happened, and we knew it was happening. But there's a part of American society that never got invited to a big P. Diddy party. They wish they were there.
Mm.
They don't want the smoke. But you know what? Just like everybody loves a P. Diddy white party. So can I go? I wish I could have been there to see the debauchery.
Mm.
That's how sick America has become. The whole society as a whole is too many. It's too much blood in the water. It's too many sharks. The sharks now have a choice on what blood they're going to go to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a rarity. It's out there. You know, because nobody wants to say no. Everybody wants to get along with the mob. Everybody wants to have stardom and popular. And if dropping my morals for a second will get me a something that I want materially wise and fame wise, I'll do so. And that's what blood in the water is. I just thought about it. Those people who tell the story of record deals and they thought this and they thought that, and they were willing to do this because they were promised that they were going to get this. You were blood. They knew you were blood in the water when you said that you'd come. And instead of you being irate when told what you must do, you just still hung around and came back for the next one until eventually it wore you down.
Yeah, compromise their values.
And now you're running for cover, hoping to not get exposed because you can't tell the story of getting drugged. You can only tell the story of
it didn't help my career.
And you thought it was going to help you. And maybe it did. But the only problem is the superstars, the celebrities, the comedians, the singers, the athletes, they try to play our moral high ground in the everyday person's life. And now you're seeing they are truly highly weird. And that they've been lying to you all this time. And you've given them your money, your time, you windmill for them, you get on these platforms and fight for them. And I mean, you'll do anything and they don't even know you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're blood in the water. They're just gobbling you up like Pac-Man.
Go.
Yep. And you're sitting back now wondering, now you're trying to hide because there's too many internet interactions where you windmilling for a total deviant. Because you got to remember all those text messages, all those emails, all those comments, all that windmilling that you did over the internet, fighting their foes who was trying to expose them. That stuff is out there, and it's out there forever.
Mm-hmm.
That you supported a total deviant because you are blood in the water. And they knew it. So do I blame them? To a degree, but I blame those who support them. Even the Bible says it so plainly. It said in today's time, people are not going to adhere to sound doctrine. They will raise up teachers and pastors and clergy that spends time tickling their ears. Think about this. The clergy that they raise up know that they want to be tickled. So all they do is tickle them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're blood in the water.
Yep.
They put these people as their moral compass, and now their moral compass is wrecked. Well, your moral compass was wrecked the day that you became blood in the water and decided to not think on your own and allow yourself to be manipulated, but you did that to yourself, so you get what you get. You have become blood in the water. See, there's some that become blood in the water and they don't know, but there's too many people that I'm thinking about it now that are blood in the water because they want to get caught up, because they believe if they can get bit by the right shark, they will get an advancement of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if Dracula bite me, maybe he'll make me his bride and I'll live forever. Because, there's some people that Dracula bit and they did become immortal. But there's some people Dracula bit and he just devoured them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't come back to life. He devoured them, tore their head off, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he would pick and choose who he would want. And the same thing with this shark. They're going to pick and choose who they devour and who they let hang with them, who they let and groom to become what? One of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be blood in the water before you become one of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this blood in the water thing is serious. And the answer to blood in the water at any point in time when somebody is challenging your morality is no.
Mm-hmm.
They're challenging your values. No. Don't let your ambition outweigh your values, because once you are compromised, you can never go back.
Yeah.
You can't put that genie back in the bottle. Yeah, you can start all over again to a degree, but that level of compromise is going to be out there now. If you do, learn the lesson. Learn the lesson. And you just have to start all over again and prove that you can't be. But why even go through that hardship when you don't have to be?
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, robbery, fair exchange is not robbery. And if you agree to it and they agree to it, and you both go into this situation with your eyes open, and that's all y'all want to have is a sexual relationship, what's one of them terms? Friends with benefits? Is there another one now?
SWB, NSA. Well, that's
What's
not
that?
another one. No strings attached.
No strings attached. There's another one?
No, those are good.
Okay. So if that's what you want to be, and both y'all understand that's what you are, then have at it. But normally what happens,
That really happens.
you start off agreeing, but somebody switches gears
And changes up the
and
situation.
changes the program unbeknownst to the other person. And now we got a whole problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get conversations like, well, I thought that since we were hanging around and doing so much and enjoying each other, that, we moved past that original agreement. And, I didn't introduce you to my mom, and I didn't, male or female. And that, and they're like, no, that ain't what we agreed to. But I thought, see, now you thinking, now your feelings hurt. Now here we come, the stalking, the crying, the breaking of the windows, the flattening of the tires, all that stuff people go through.
Not like you know anything about that.
Man, please. I ain't never done that to nobody, but I've had it done to me. Okay? Switch up, change the program.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I was the kind of person, I didn't know. I thought once my thing was, we adult, be verbally honest, boom, okay. The minute that you start having other visions of grandeur, you need to let that person know before you get too lost in the sauce. Because it's not the person's job that's sticking to the contract to figure out you to change. It's your job as the person who wants to change to come forward as soon as you start feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can back clean off and say, nope. See, they going to say, nope, that ain't what I want to do.
Absolutely.
That's not the way I want to pursue these things.
And they'll let you know 100%, like, I don't like it like that. Enough.
No. So blood in the water is real. And like I say, be true to yourself. Examine yourself to see if that's you. And if it's you, if you want to go out like that, do that, but understand what you can run into. And if you don't want that, and you're approached as if you're blood in the water, and only you know, if you kind of don't really know, don't assume the best, assume the worst, and still say no. Because if they're genuine, they would accept your no and try to pursue you in a way that's respectful. But if they start right off the top with that, the answer should be no anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If they start off the top, first date, first phone conversation, no, no, that shouldn't even happen like that, because that's just too soon, too much, too fast.
Yep.
And I blame the internet for that, and TikTok and Instagram and all that. We want instantaneous gratification. Nobody wants to simmer, take their time, and be in a crock pot.
No, they want it now. In
They want it
microwave.
now. They want it
Mhm.
now. Now with no chaser. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Let's go.
yeah. So, blood in the water. Just say no. Go hand in hand. And the next one we're going to do is Hub Son.
Mm-mm-mm.
And the ladies love Hub Son. I'm still trying to find a word that describes the reverse of that for ladies, and I haven't found it yet. And maybe you ladies, if we got Hub Son, that means that's a husband that acts more like a son. What is it? A wife that acts more like a daughter. So if you can,
Mhm.
in the comments, with the T's comments, if you can give us a little catchy phrase for that, and maybe there is no catchy phrase with that, but we're going to talk about that the next time. The hub son and the wife that acts like a daughter. So T, that's it for me.
Well, I like that. But I did want to say what we always say, our little disclaimer, and Pastor Jay, he agrees anyway. We're both not telling grown folk what to do. If you're
No.
gonna do it, you're gonna go and have your do your thing. Just be aware and just know what you're getting into, like point blank, period. You're gonna go out there and freak naked all day long. That's up to you. Don't let your children be part of the devastation. Don't let that be a thing. And hopefully that you're making wise decisions when you're choosing, selecting to make a person for your cuffing season the person you want to roll with. Because, like Pastor Jay said, you have no idea, even if you say no, what's going to happen at the end of that no if they do not receive that, because they can do other things. Just because you said no, don't mean that cake can turn into a whole stalker and worse. So just be mindful, be careful. Like we said, we know we're talking to grown adults here. You're going to do what you're going to do. Just be careful, be aware about what you're doing in this time, and know that people are not always thinking with a very sound mind, but you have to think soundly for yourself when you're moving, when it comes to relationships, because they can be very, very deadly. So,
Yeah, and devastating to the rest of your
Mhm.
life.
Exactly.
So don't let this season of joy and happiness and family and friends become something that you regret for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So next is going to be Hub Son. Sometime next week, we're going to do Hub Son. So stay tuned. Tell your friends. We'll give you advance notice of when we're going to do this. And we will always do this on God's gift through his word. It'll be on my Facebook channel once she finishes doing what she does, on Walk in Truth Radio Network, Walk in Truth Christian Fellowship Church, and my personal Facebook page, James Sutton II. And so you'll be able to listen to this YouTube video if you wouldn't for the live on my channel also. So I just thank everybody for taking the time to just listen to us. We know that you could be doing anything else, and we thank you for coming along and joining us. And please comment, share, like. So as we build our community of truth tellers, truth seekers, and truth teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and having real talk with real adults. So thank you guys for tuning in. So T, what you got to say?
I just want to thank you guys once again for being here with us as we do what we do. And I just want you guys to remember, be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart.
And I want you to always remember to walk in the truth of the Lord.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Thank you all for tuning in. Bye now.
All right. Bye now.
Mm-hmm.